Hello, I am Willie Bragg. I am back. Last night I did a follow-up video, but I had to delete it because I had an audio malfunction. Let me explain. There was a previous audio difficulty I've had for a couple of months on my StreamYards, and it wasn't an audio malfunction. But what happened was that they changed the way you do audio on StreamYards, and I was not notified, and I found out accidentally on a separate new account, which I'm using now, yet I was never notified on the recent one. Go figure. So anyway, I accidentally had it resolved, so I feel better about that. But when I did my video last night, the first video with actual video coverage that went well, I decided to do another one since there was no secret show last night. And when doing so, I forgot a step and there was no audio. I got discouraged. I was sleepy. So I was just like, oh, fuck it. And I went and deleted that video, and I had everything set up today. So I'm hoping that this video is going to be better. You've heard enough out of me. So anyway, I want to dedicate this video, and I don't know if he's watching right now. I notify him. I want to dedicate this video to Angel Rivera because he's done a lot of videos on Kyle Kulinski, and it's pretty damn funny. A lot of things he said about Kyle, just lately, Kyle's been going, well, he's been sort of going downhill very fast. And so, a lot of things that he said about Kyle is pretty much true. So down here in the description box below, I have all the links for Angel Rivera. Please follow his platform. It's called The Handsome Critic. His program is an affiliate of Indie News Network, INN. So just follow the links. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. Subscribe to his Twitter page. And all the other platforms he's on. So please do that, and I'm much appreciative. So to make a long story short, we're going to discuss Kyle Kulinski. All right, and basically his evolution, because basically and I'm speaking when I say his evolution from BernieBro to BidenBro, and even though we're all kind of mad at Bernie these days with justification, we all been there being Bernie bros in the past. Most of us have anyway. And from that perspective, that's the Kyle that was okay. The Kyle that's not okay is the Biden bro that he's evolved into. And that's my issue with Kyle. And so I like to put a little bit of a comedic take into this first. And that's what I'm going to do. So I hope that, let me do this here real quick. I don't trust myself. I don't want to repeat the same mistake I repeated last night. So let me do this here. Right. That's share tab audio. Okay. That should be okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play this. This is from Drunk Unicorn. And it was so funny. Enjoy.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Hey, hooligans. This is your favorite progressive commentator, Kyle Kulinski here. I just need a favor from you bros. Can you please subscribe to my channel? I'm so close to 1 million subs, and I need you dudes to do me a favor. If you do, I promise I'll dye my hair back to the way it was. I don't even like being a blonde, but Crystal liked it, so who could say no to her? She's so smoking hot, bro. I couldn't even stand up to old man Bernie, and he kicked me off my own show. Do you really think I could stand up to Crystal, guys? Anyways, bros, if you guys could subscribe, it'll really help me out. I know, I'm not supposed to associate with you dirtbag leftists anymore because my mommy, Crystal won't let me. Oh, crap. Please don't forward this to her or she'll be mad at me. Please don't. I beg you guys. Anyways, be sure to like and subscribe. Catch you on the flip side, bros. Later, alligators.
There you go. That's where he's at right now. So, And I want to also share one from. Well, like, one second. Hold on. I do still have some issues with my computer. I'm going to have to get a new computer. It's having a mind of its own today. So just give me a moment here. This is from Turncoat Don. Again, really funny individual. He does a lot of these comedy videos, and his take is basically 2020 Kyle Kulinski with the dark hair versus what Kid Cabello calls Dime Store Eminem Kyle Kulinski, or Turncoat Don would call 2023 Kyle Kulinski, the blonde Kyle Kulinski. And you can see where his politics have seriously changed. And I would say changed for the worse. And there would have been a time not too long ago I would have felt bad doing this. But here's the thing. Politics has just gotten so bad lately. It just, some of the takes, I'm just like, oh, it's hard to just to sit there and listen to it. So give me a moment here. We'll listen to this video by Turncoat Don, and then I'll comment some more. All right, we'll do this.
The former Soviet Union and other authoritarian dictatorial regimes.
We're really talking about other people being dictatorial. Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis, as bad as Biden is, you guys are significantly worse, and it's not even close. The Democrats are just way better. They're just way better. They're a trillion times better than Republicans.
All right, so there's a lot I have to say in response to this. These kinds of criticisms from this guy, I honestly believe that these people usually overstate how bad Trump is, and they understate how bad Biden is. Well, you're more ideologically in agreement with Biden than you are in agreement with Trump. Well, actually, when it comes to the First Step Act, I agree with Trump on that. When it comes to pardoning Alice Johnson, I agree with Trump on that. When it comes to TPP, Trump's against it, Biden's for it. I agree with Trump on that. I agree more with Trump on North Korea than I agree with Biden. I would need to be convinced that Biden would fight for at least one or two of my top 5 issues. Medicare for all, free college, living wage, ending the wars, and UBI. The people who say Trump is a fascist and they think he's like, basically, we can't survive another 4 years of America with him. Yes. The country will survive 4 years with Trump. The country will survive 4 years with Joe Biden. Again, I think they understate how bad Biden is. Why? On so many core issues, he's against us. Me, at least. I can't speak for this guy. Joe Biden pushed for NAFTA. He repeatedly pushed for TPP. He's a supporter of the Iraq War. On all the pivotal issues of his time, he was wrong. So stop overstating how bad Trump is. The country's still going to exist in 4 years. And understating how bad Biden is. Because it's annoying. I just don't agree with the people who are like, he's a fascist, he's a Nazi, the country's not going to exist in 4 years. You're hyperbolic and you're ridiculous.
Oh! You got knocked the fuck out, man!
Okay, that's Kyle Kulinski. Basically, in 2020, telling his future self he's full of shit. And he's correct. The 2020 Kyle Kulinski, you compare him to 2023 Kyle Kulinski. 2020 Kyle Kulinski boycotted the presidential election. He did not vote for Joe Biden. Smart move. 2023 Kyle Kulinski is ready, even though he's for Marianne Williamson, and I do believe he supports Marianne Williamson stronger than he does Joe Biden. But he has a natural inclination to like Joe Biden. You could tell he likes the guy personally. And he's always talking about policy. But he likes Joe Biden. So he's going to go and vote for him, he and Crystal, in 2024. I mean, that's downhill. Kyle, your 2020 self would have said you got to go and support Cornel West. That's just really horrible. How you kind of went downhill. But that was Turncoat Don. Does great videos. A lot of videos like that. Love Turncoat Don. He makes a spectacle out of the shit lib mindset and makes an example out of them in every way they deserve to be made an example out of. And I think there would have been a time that Turncoat Don would have done that to Kyle, but Kyle was, he was just, I mean, I don't mean like literally deserving of that, but video wise, deserving of that kind of scorn. Now, I'm going to tell you, when it comes to Kyle Kulinski, I was pretty much, of all the online left people in the original wave that came out, right now, I would say he was probably one of my favorites initially, and to the point where he influenced me to do what I do today. It's true. And it was the politics. It was his politics, his basic ideology. It was roughly a social democratic ideology, a civil libertarian stance, and he did it in kind of a rough around the edges, politically incorrect sort of way, and it worked with me. And I mean he was sort of the Amber Lee Frost, I believe that's her name, when she talked about the dirtbag left. She was referring to people like Kyle Kulinski and Chapo Trap House at that time, and she was referring to people like the Jimmy Dore at that time, which he still is dirtbag left. She was referring to people. She was referring to the Amazing Atheists, and she was referring to. She was referring to what would become what was called the Gray Zone Project became the Gray Zone. This sort of this movement of leftists who looked at the liberal movement, and even some who are in the ballpark of being on the same left, and thinking, "What the fuck are you doing? We're basically not getting anywhere." And letting the right win because we just succumb to our own weakness, and so they wanted to build an aggressive left, and so Kyle, I think Kyle had a winning formula at that time, and he had a good audience, and he became and he built a good audience at that time. But the thing about it is, he was a product of the Bernie movement, and many of us are, and many of us had a hard time getting over it. I had a hard time getting over it. I am finally getting over it. I'm out of the Bernie cult. I am finally out of the Bernie cult, and I preceded that Bernie cult long before all these Bernie bros, and and even now that I'm out of the Bernie cult, there are times I do make a little allowances or excuses for him in a way that I wouldn't for AOC, because he does have receipts. But I'm still very pissed off with Bernie. He bent the knee to Biden, and I'm sorry, but Biden is not my good friend. Biden would never be my good friend. So and that's what it comes down to. But yeah, I'm afraid he inspired me to do the Willie Bragg show. It wasn't called that originally. But I became quickly disillusioned. I would say basically between Bernie Sanders dropping out, where he boycotted the 2020 election, did not vote for anybody, which that's better than voting for Biden. He did the right thing. We're forced to vote. But when Anna Kasparian had her little meltdown and decided to attack Aaron McTay, and the Young Turks dragged Kyle Kulinski into the feud between her and them and Jimmy Dore, and that's when Kyle went downhill. He went downhill from there, and it was and to the point where he's just, it's just awful to watch his show today. I mean, maybe once in a while he's still a little bit better than the others, the big channels. But I mean, his material has been getting worse and worse. I mean, I hardly watch anything from him. Maybe once or twice a week I might see something. So, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you this video here, and I'm going to give you my take. This Kyle Kulinski video. Let me get it up. And I see Les Bones on the chat line here. Hey, how are you doing, buddy? Great seeing you. Let's see. All right, we'll get everything set up here. and it's called Justice Dems co-founder reacts to its demise. Kyle Kulinski show. I got a lot to say about that. Take it away, Kyle. I'm going to put it on 1.25 speed. He talks kind of fast, but anyway.
Big story dropped last week about Justice Democrats that I wanted to share with you and give you guys my take on it. So Huffington Post has this long article by Daniel Marins, who, by the way, does a phenomenal job with his reporting. I feel like this was very detailed. And the title here is, "A Progressive Powerhouse's Surprise Layoffs Fuel Concerns About the Left's Future. Justice Democrats played a critical role in electing the squad. Now it will have to do more with less." Okay. So they actually bring me up in this piece and, you know, some of my criticisms against Justice Democrats. And like I said, very long article, very detailed. Do yourself a favor and go read the entire thing. But I'll sum it up for you here, and then I'll give you guys my take on it. So basically, what they say is this. Justice Democrats, and you guys know the backstory. I'll give you a quick backstory just so, you know, you remember all the details here. But in the wake of the 2016 election, Hillary Clinton, of course, lost to Donald Trump. And I was just disgusted and furious that a guy like Donald Trump could get anywhere near the White House. And I viewed that as a colossal failing of the Democratic Party to not be able to beat the most beatable opponent in history because you're just coming across as that disconnected from average people. And
okay, I want to stop right there. Now, here's the thing. He wants to exaggerate how much he dislikes Donald Trump. Now, nobody celebrated Donald Trump's victory. I didn't celebrate it. Nobody should celebrate his victory. But you don't have to go overboard saying how much he sucks that he got elected, Kyle. You don't suffer from Trump derangement syndrome. And part of the problem is now you want to act like you suffer from Trump derangement syndrome when it was trendy in 2017, 2018. Okay. That trend it sucked when people was going through that back then, and it sucks to hear it people doing that now. And you were cut above it all back then. That's one of the problems I had with you right there.
And so, you know, I got together with Cenk Uygur and Shoykat Chakrabarti and Corbin Trent and some others, and we decided we need to change the course of the Democratic Party and try to make it so we get representatives who stand for something, who will fight for the American people, and make it so that the Republicans are an afterthought and they lose all the time because we are representing the people so well.
And that's a noble goal. That is a noble goal. And you recognize where the Democratic Party was at right there. And that part I don't have a problem with, because the Democratic Party and my audience know where I stand on this. The Democratic Leadership Council, when Bill and Hillary Clinton took over the Democratic Leadership Council in 1989, they Reaganized the Democratic Party, and it became a piece of shit that it's been, and it just became atrocious. The Democratic Party seems to be proud to stand for nothing, and then wonder why they're so easy to beat occasionally. There are times when they get their asses kicked, and when the Democrats get their asses kicked, they really get their asses handed to them. And they were like, I didn't see that coming. And then they get mad at the left, and then they tell people vote harder. And then at the same time, they're fundraising, because some of them not even mad that they'll lose elections. When they're in power, they're too fucking pussy to do anything bold, and they're either scared to be called socialists, or they flat out do not want to be accountable to the people, because they take the same money that the Republicans take. And it was a noble goal to go and try to do a hostile takeover to the Democratic Party, to try to organize within. But Kyle, there's other movements that try to doing that at the same time. DSA was trying to do that, and DSA is horrendous today. You're just reinventing the wheel with Justice Democrats. That's the way I kind of look at it. The House Progressive Caucus was trying to do the same thing in the 1990s, and look what they did. Look what they did. They allowed a horrible corporate Democrat like Chantel Brown in the Progressive Caucus, and would not allow their members to go and endorse Nina Turner until it was too late. The House Progressive Caucus is just a pile of shit to me these days. They mean nothing to me these days. And the Justice Democrats, as I said, the squad, and the squad, are looking like they're just going to be just another version, or the House Progressive Caucus 2.0.
And you know, for me, a big inspiration about it was FDR. You know, like when you go back and read the history of FDR's time in office, it's astonishing. It's something we've never seen in the modern era. It's somebody won the presidential election 4 times. This is before there were term limits. In fact, the Republicans looked at that and said, we need to do term limits because we'll never be able to beat these guys because they're too good. So he won the presidential election 4 times. And he also, at one point, held 80% of the House and 80% of the Senate.
Okay, that's another thing. I don't know why y'all don't even talk about term limits, you guys, because the Republicans imposed term limits on the presidency because Roosevelt was winning one election after the other. They used to talk about it in Congress. They don't talk about it anymore because Republicans are self-serving assholes, just like the Democrats are. But here's the thing. Why don't you guys ever talk about, packing the courts is too radical for people. Oh, I favor adding maybe 3 to 5 Supreme Court justices because of what Donald Trump did with these shitty justices during his 4 years and what Mitch McConnell's his skullduggery in the Senate. Not having a hearing before the 2016 election and rushing Amy Coney Barrett. I would favor if Biden would go and say we're adding 5 more justices to the court or 3 more justices to the court. I would have a little bit of respect for Biden, but he's too much of a pussy to do that. And the thing about it is, y'all never talk about racing the not racing the age. That's another commentary. You never talk about imposing term limits on the courts, let alone Congress. Food for thought.
So just crushing majorities. Why? Because he delivered with the New Deal. And people said, oh, you help me, I will vote for you. And so we decided we need to fight back against the corporate Democrats and make the Democratic Party uncorrupted. And so the original working name for Justice Democrats was actually the Left Tea Party. And then after that, there was some disagreement around that one, and because it sounds like you're being more right wing than left wing. So there's arguments on both sides. I understand that, but the whole idea was let's have a Democratic faction which fights like the Tea Party fights Republican leadership. We want Democrats to fight Democratic leadership to go in a more progressive direction and represent the American people. And then so the second name I believe we were toying with New Deal Democrats. Again, that's the ode to FDR. Then I think eventually we went to Justice Party Democrats, and then we settled on Justice Democrats. So anyway, we started the group. I was on the board, as was Jank. We never took a penny for doing any of this because we just wanted to do the right thing for the country. And we were involved in every single board meeting. I wrote the platform for it. You had Shoycott and Corbin brought in all these candidates, and we punched way above our weight for the amount of money we were able to raise. But at the time, it was all small dollar donations. It was you guys donating, and we punched way above our weight. We got AOC to get rid of Joe Crowley. There's a number of Justice Democrats who are there now. Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib. The list goes on and on. You guys know the deal. So here we are. Have dried up for Justice Democrats. Now, Marin's also goes on to point out, well, it also dried up for Planned Parenthood, the Sierra Club. Like, this is sort of across the board. There are donations drying up. The Sunrise Movement, of course, also laid off 35 of their 100 staffers. They point out in the piece 62% of Justice Dems donations are small dollar donations. And the head of Justice Democrats, Alexandra Rojas, she takes.
You know why that the donations have fallen away from the Justice Democrats? Because when they were coming around and with the 2018 wave of the squad, and then you had a small extension of the squad in 2020, they had reason to be optimistic. And I joined them in that optimism at that time. I was like most. I would probably venture to say maybe my audience. I was like most people. I was happy, not just happy. I was ecstatic about the squad. I was ecstatic when the squad increased its size in 2020. I was very happy about that. But I had a rude awakening when they rejected forced to vote. And there's some people that lecture me that I go on and on and on about forced to vote. But you have to understand we came from a pandemic where people lost their health coverage from their jobs, and people found out, maybe we do need some kind of a public system like they have in other countries, because it's tied to my job and I play by the rules, and I go to work, and part of the thing is, as long as I work, I get my health coverage. But then this fucking pandemic happens, I get kicked off of my job, and I lose my health coverage, and the government's basically saying, well, fuck you. It was the right thing to do to pressure Nancy Pelosi to allow a House vote to Medicare for all. But I think that some people thought it was, oh my God, that just looks too much like a rude Bolshevik tactic. And they thought, oh my goodness, we're going to have Kevin McCarthy Speaker of the House, which wasn't going to happen. Now, as long as the Democrats were the majority, it wasn't going to happen. There was no way it was going to happen. No mathematical way it was going to happen. Along partisan lines, it wasn't going to happen. There would have been no way in hell in that session of Congress that Kevin McCarthy was going to be Speaker of the House. And the thing about it is, you know what would happen if Nancy Pelosi? Well, I'm not mad at you over force of vote, Kyle, because you were on the correct side on this issue. But here's the thing. Unfortunately, I'm wondering if you would be for force of vote today. That's the beef I'm having right now, because you have a kind of demeanor today in your commentary that will make me question if you would support force of vote. But late 2020, early 2021, Kyle did support force to vote. And what would have happened with force to vote? The worst case scenario is that Nancy Pelosi would have said, we'll push for a public option, or even we'll allow the government to negotiate for lower drug prices. Far less than what I would want to see happen, but it would have been something. It would have been something. It could have been that maybe not just the progressives, maybe some middle of the road down the line corporate Democrats, maybe even some Republicans would have been like, well, fuck, if I vote against health care for people from this pandemic, I'm going to look bad. I'm going to look like a piece of shit. You'd have been able to shame some people into voting for Medicare for all. That's the way I look at it. But that's not a criticism of you there, Kyle. That's a criticism of those who oppose Medicare, oppose forced to vote. But that was where you started to go downhill, though, right there. Right after that, I noticed some soft apologetics for Joe Biden.
Running a political group like this, she gets paid $81,000 a year, and they just couldn't dot the I's and cross the T's and pay the bills, and so they were effectively sort of forced to lay off 9 of their 20 members. He also goes on to say, there's now dark money groups that are affiliated with the establishment Democrats who are spending big to be JD candidates. We saw this with AIPAC and AIPAC-related groups and other groups who are like anything to defeat people who are even mildly more progressive than the establishment Democrats. And this cycle now, Justice Democrats is saying, we're only going to support incumbents. We're going to support, upstarts in primaries to take out very conservative Democrats. And that's where we are now. So they're trying to defend Jamal Bowman. Again, they have 0 people who are primarying conservative Democrats at this point in time. And they're just sort of slowly but surely going away or having less and less of an impact. So I want to give you some more what they say in here. They say...
hold on. And you tell us that we have to go... I do believe that you have a problem with the Democratic Party as a whole, even now. But you tell us we have to go and vote for the lesser evil anyway, at the end of the day, even though we have to fight inside the Democratic Party and be obstinate. But at the end of the day, because what you said at one time, what were you saying, that there are a trillion times better than the Republicans? Now, granted, the Republicans are on the train toward fascism, on the road track, speeding toward fascism, and that can't be disputed. When I hear things like Vivek Ramaswamy, whatever the fuck his name is, talking about raising the voting age to 25, and things like that. And I'm hearing Ron DeSantis. Every time I hear Ron DeSantis on the news, he's dreaming up one more way to take away rights from people in Florida, while there are people out there that are like, we're going to go to Florida is where all the freedom's at, when it's anything but. Well, I know you're on the correct side on these issues, but here's the thing. you get angry when people talk about supporting Cornel West. Cornel West is with you on all the policies you claim you support, Kyle. He's with you on all the policies you claim to support. Now, I'm not faulting you for supporting Marianne Williamson in the primaries. She's better than Biden. I got some problems with her on a couple of issues. I got some problems with Robert Kennedy on a couple of issues. But at the same time, they're both better than Biden. But they're not better than Cornel West. I don't even give a shit that about the wedding, you and Crystal, that some people made a big deal over. Okay, that Marianne Williamson officiated your wedding. I don't care about that. What I do care about is the fact that you're making excuses for things that you would not have made excuses for at one time, as if you're trying to get a job for MSNBC. And that was not what you were supposed to be about initially. And I'm not all about ideological purity. I call myself a socialist. And the Overton window is so far to the right, it's retarded right wing in this country. The Overton window, that I am a tanky in the eyes of a lot of Americans. If they know what the term tanky is, they'll look at me and they'll be, yeah, Willie's that. Yeah, Willie must be a tanky. They'll think that I'm not. But the point I'm trying to make is that that's where we're at on the Overton window here in the United States. And I want to see that reverse. And now you're just settling for less. You used to be against that sort of mindset.
There are no big donors on the left like there are on the right. And that's part of the problem, is that, when small donors aren't giving and you don't have any larger donors, then what do? And so they go on to say, quote,
well, you got to go and find a way around the system. You got to find a way around the system, and you got to create your own alternatives to get your messages out, to get your candidates elected. You got to go and find those alternatives and do not play by their rules. That's what you got to do. But working in the Democratic Party is going to force you to play by their rules. And that's also the problem. It's not just about defeating Republicans. And you know that. It's about once you get a couple of Justice Democrats in there, you got to go and fight nonstop with the corporate Democrats. The novel, A Very British Coup, written by Chris Mullins, 1981. They talk about that sort of thing. And what's really weird is it's not of the Labor Party, and however fucked up it is then and now, it's not as fucked up as the Democratic Party, because at least with the Labor Party in the UK, there are open socialists and there are open communists in the party. There are open whatever, that they are pretty much left alone. But unfortunately, there were people like Tony Blair, and there are people like Keir Starmer in the party today that went and punished people like Jeremy Corbyn. They punished them a hell of a lot harder than they punished Bernie Sanders here in the United States. But you got to go and create your own alternatives. And you're not offering that these days. You're saying we got to go and act like it's the Bernie movement still alive and well, and it's not, Kyle.
Quote, a senior House progressive aide conceded that Justice Democrats aligned incumbents lacked cohesiveness and did not have regular group meetings with Justice Democrats. Though how much of that was due to the operation's limited funding is unclear. Other than some Israel bills, we never talked about legislation, the senior aide said. There's a perspective that people with JD win their race and come to Congress and do their own thing. Okay, so what went wrong here, and what should they do? I mean, look, to me, the biggest thing is this. They lost their identity, right? And as a co-founder of the group, I can tell you, the whole idea was you're outsiders, you're uncorrupted, you don't take corporate PAC money, you don't take billionaire money, you raise through small dollar donations, and you guys are crusaders to end the corruption, to get a higher minimum wage, to get universal health care, to get strong unions, to fight on left policy and represent the American people. And you're supposed to be that Tea Party of the Democratic side and take on Democratic leadership who's complacent and super neoliberal. People like Nancy Pelosi, for example, who raise a tremendous amount of money from big donors and corporations, and then you could see it's reflected in the policies that they push. They always want to split the difference and, help out their corporate donors while like mildly tweaking things and moving in an okay direction for the average person. We wanted to put an end to that because we feel like it's that weakness that helped bring us Trump. And so from my perspective, look, I think they lost their identity and I think they lost their mission, and they don't know if they're outsiders or just a regular Democratic group. And
what it is I'm not a member of Congress. I don't know what it's like, but I think what happens, and you probably know this more than I would, these people get elected. You saw AOC getting elected in 2018 and early 2019, doing a sit-in in front of Nancy Pelosi's office, and that got put to a stop right away. And I think this is what happens. The squad were put in the line right quick. They don't mind the little grandstanding of a nice little speech on how much Republicans suck. It's a low bar, We know that Marjorie Taylor Greene is a horrible person. I mean, nobody hates Marjorie Taylor Greene more than I do. I mean, honestly, Marjorie Taylor Greene is probably a bigger problem than anything in Congress right now. But the thing about it is, it's easy to go and look at Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, "Oh, this is terrible." But you know what? What else is terrible? What's his name? Jim Clyburn is terrible. I mean, he stolen look at the Democrats. How in the world can you sit there and I know you wanted to go and fight inside the Democratic Party, but look what they did. They went in there and they cheated Bernie in 2016. And you don't defend Tulsi Gabbard anymore. Tulsi Gabbard exposed the DNC in 2016. This is why they hate Tulsi Gabbard. Now, I got my issues with Tulsi Gabbard now. I do. There are some political positions that she's taken in the last few years that I disagree with hardcore. But I will always forever be grateful to Tulsi Gabbard for exposing the DNC for what they did. And what do? They say, "Oh, she's a Russian asset." Well, goodness gracious, she makes being a Russian asset seems very edgy and cool. And you used to defend her. And I remember you on record saying that she will make an awesome vice presidential candidate with Bernie Sanders. That's where I stood. And I know a couple other people that stood there as well. I heard, I think that might have been the position of Jimmy Dore. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think that might have been his position because I know he was for Tulsi Gabbard in 2020. I think the people who were supportive of Tulsi Gabbard in 2020 had the idea that they wanted her in the coalition with Bernie Sanders on foreign policy questions to kind of keep Bernie Sanders on the left on the foreign policy area. And as a Bernie Sanders supporter, I kind of wanted her in there for the same reason. And you were correct on that one. But the point I'm trying to make is that, you stop defending Tulsi Gabbard. Because, why? Because you want to go and make nice with, you're mad at Jimmy Dore. Now, I think that Jimmy Dore might have been a little hard on you. When the Aaron Matei, Anna Kasparian meltdown 2 years ago. But you should have defended Jimmy Dore a little harder than you did. I mean, I know you were sitting there. Now I do think it was wrong that they all pulled you in the middle of that fight. You were over here on the East Coast while Jimmy Dore and TYT were over there on the West Coast. They shouldn't have pulled you into that thing, but at the same time, that TYT were full of shit. They were full of shit. They were going downhill, and you should have just ignored it, and instead of just like man, I don't want to get involved with this drama shit. Well, you did the video. You dug your own grave there when you did that. You shouldn't have done that. And now it looks like you're trying to make nice. I mean, you talk more shit about Jimmy Dore than you do Shank and Anna. And, for whatever harsh words he may give to you, sounds like they don't respect you. And you'll do a video. As a matter of fact, Shank this and Anna that. Trying to win their good graces back. You should tell them to fuck off, honestly. And she did. I probably wouldn't be making as critical a video of you. But you lost your way, Kyle. And I'm going to put down the whole video here as a link when I'm done, folks. But he lost his way. And I just cannot with good conscience be like watch his stuff anymore, because it's just kind of like it's. I don't have a problem with saying the same thing over and over, repeating the same message. I mean, sometimes repetition is very effective. I do it a lot on my show. And sometimes you have to, because you got new people that needs to know what you're all about and have to say, and so there is that. And so this repetition can be healthy, but you have to know how to use it. And I'm still trying to learn that secret myself. But all that aside, with this whole thing, it's just nuts to see somebody that was one of the best, cream of the crop on the online left, to sink so low, to end up sounding no better than TYT or David Pakman, which I don't hate David Pakman either. I mean, it's just David Pakman's so bland these days, I mean, and too much Russian bashing for my taste when it comes to Pakman, to sound basically like an edgier Nomiki Konst, that doesn't cut it with me. So, as I said last night in my video, even though TYT kind of started a good trend, starting the online left, they no longer cornered the market. And because they no longer corner the market, they feel threatened with new upstarting channels. And I noticed that Kyle, and I noticed that some of these bigger channels, rarely tried to go and have smaller voices introduced. Now, whatever you may think of Jimmy Dore, and I want to make this clear, I agree with Jimmy Dore on a whole lot of things. There's some things I disagree with Jimmy Dore. And that's going to be said about all commentators that I follow. It's going to be said about all the commentators I follow. There are things I agree with, and there are going to be some things I don't disagree with. I don't expect any of y'all to listen to me and agree with everything I have to say. You listen to what I have to say, and if you can come up with something better and it can solve problems, I'm all for it. But the thing about it is that Jimmy Dore will allow smaller voices to be introduced and give them the light, and give them the light, and give them the attention that they need to expose to a larger audience. And I don't see that with some of these other channels, some of the other big channels, and Jimmy Dore will do that. I mean, Jimmy Dore would do that with these smaller channels. The smaller channels that Jordan Sheridan said one time he called mini-me channels. And he's kind of gone downhill too, but maybe not entirely, but But anyway, and I just wanted to get that out of my chest and all that. So let's see what we have here on the chat line. And we had Les Bones. How are you doing, Les Bones? What's up, Willie? What's up, Les Bones? Doing good. Same here. Dianetta Die says he went down, was not dragged down. That sounds kind of like it. Laughing out loud. Sorry to disagree about this, but then do not suffer from TDS. I am not quite sure what you're meaning with that point. I know it was from the point about Kyle not suffering from Trump derangement syndrome initially, but now pretending to, just to try to win over the more shit-lib side of the online left. That's what I think. Mad at the warmonger Hillary did not win. Yeah, I mean, he did. I think he didn't vote for Hillary either in that election. So I'm pretty certain. Have you heard of meritocracy? He talks about meritocracy a lot in the show. The Willie Bragg Show. Dirtbag, are you one of 81 million? 81 million of what? Are you a socialist who is also a nationalist or is a globalist? I am a democratic socialist. That's what you're asking. I am a democratic socialist. I believe that socialism is for everybody, and I believe it's a way to expand democracy. Another term that was used by the late Michael Foot, who was the leader of the British Labour Party, one of the most left-wing leaders they ever had. When asked where was the mainstream of his socialism, he said this in 1965, quote unquote, if anything, I am a libertarian socialist because I feel like socialism is the way to bring about the most freedom for the people. And that was his quote for 1965. I believe it was 1965. So anyway, right now, I would just like to say, everyone, quick announcement before I go. September 1st, Willie Bragg, myself, and Jimi Sunderland will be on September 1st launching the first episode of Bragland. And that will be out. And it will be every Friday from 5 p.m. until 7 p.m. And just wanted to let y'all know. And got the YouTube channel up ready. We just got to go and doctor it up and get it ready and everything. So I want to make that announcement real quick. And down on the description box below, you'll see her information down there. She does the graphics for my show here, the Willie Bragg Show. So please do follow her on her platforms, on specifically on YouTube and Twitch, Image Productions, because she wants to get it up to 100. So please help her out in that regard. And also want to let you know that I will be on the Secret Show next week with Warren and Jimmy on episode 69. I just want to let y'all know about that. And let's see what we have here. One more comment, and I'm going to sign out. Let's see. The Willie Bragg Show, Dirtbag Lessons. The last question was a joke, bro. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah. Sometimes I got a sense of humor. Sometimes I don't. Just how it is. So anyway, I will see y'all next time. So let me conclude by saying, if you like what you heard, please press like, comment, and share what we have here on my channel. Any information I've had, material, what have you, feel free. And as the First Amendment absolutist, it's my duty to inform you to create your own platform and utilize it, because we are, in fact, the muckrakers of our time. Feel free to also subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. Follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter, where I seem to live all the time. And always reject corporate media because they have nothing at all to offer us. Not a damn thing. And until next time, I am Willie Bragg. I will see y'all again very soon. So you all take care. Bye-bye.